Gathered in their masses, just like women with fat. Okay, sorry. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here tonight. Welcome back to In Liberty and Health. I've been looking forward to making this show happen for quite a while. We have a dear friend of the show who's commented, and we finally met about a week or two ago on somebody else's show. If you caught me on Tyler Yonke's show, the Libertarian Podcast Review, he was on there briefly. And I believe he had something to do with his F trophy at the time. So unfortunately, he couldn't join us for the rest of the show. But I got him here tonight in the studio. So before we get to that portion of the show in the stream, make sure you hit all the links below to get everything and find out what I got going on. A Common Crown's got a new single, but we also got Tiger Fitness right here. They got a little bit of a deal on mass gainers and I think cutting stacks over this weekend. So tons of good deals there as always. And then the world's best electrolytes, LMNT. And of course, I got my little, what do they call it? The anti-Semitic squid right there. And as always, I represent the sharks. So yeah, make sure you like, subscribe, share this stuff, drop some comments, and drop some super chats. I have super chats, so feel free to leave a super chat if you're feeling generous tonight. And without further ado, let's go. What is up, everybody? My name is Kyle Matovic. I am the host of the In Liberty and Health podcast, where we talk all things liberty, health and wellness, and beyond. My hope is to encourage and spread the message of liberty, physical and mental well-being. I hope you enjoy all the topics we talk about with our guests. We're on all major streaming platforms, so please sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Man, I'm doing as good as anyone can do getting buried by his 13-year-old son on leg day.
I'm not going to apologize for not being on this podcast because I got to go see Metallica. So if that's a problem, kiss my ass. Okay? All right.
Dickie, you said it would take 10 years. It was going to be like the next Tool album. But here we are. Welcome, brother.
Only 10 months. Only 10 months. I'm glad to be on with my favorite garage band podcasting mechanic.
It was a garage band podcaster mechanic. I'm honestly, I'm kind of surprised he called me a mechanic because I think that's very generous. If you saw what I do in my job every day, you'd be surprised that people would even call me that. So I think I'm doing all right.
That's good, man. It's finally good to be on. I know I've been canceling here and there, so I act like I have an important life to keep people guessing.
Nah, dude, good enough. I mean, I certainly do too. Like, people think that I probably like live a much more extravagant life than I do, but I mean, I'm mostly like walking the dogs, working out, playing music, or unfortunately at my job. I wish it was a lot more of just doing this, connecting with people, and pumping out F trophies or something like that. But unfortunately, that's not what life is all about. So, you know what? I guess that gives you a good floor to introduce yourself to the audience and people who may not know you. And yeah, whatever you got.
Yeah, most of y'all, if y'all are tuning into this episode, you probably know who I am. Otherwise, you probably would look at the dude named Dickie Walnuts and be like, "What the hell?" So I honestly, I used to do this more so than I do now. I just have fun and make clip videos on Twitter and basically ride coattails of my favorite podcaster friends and hang around and shitpost. I don't know if I wasn't supposed to say that word so early in the show, but
No, you're good. I don't care.
it's done.
Well, you know what? I think we got I want to share a little clip because I think I remember seeing this pretty early on. Let me make sure that my Twitter DMs aren't open either. Okay, yeah, we're good.
Hope it's what I think it is.
It's gonna be some gay porn.
Oh, yes. No, that's straight, dude.
Yeah.
My magnum opus.
The greatest. Oh no.
I made half of this video on the shitter at work. I was literally like sitting on a forklift, like going through. Thank you, Force Mommy. My second favorite actually was part of the title of the show. My January 6th one.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, and I just could not stop laughing. And You know, it's got to be up there with me and Pete Quinonez's Nutter Butter tweet. If you ever saw that one, where it was N is for the way that you nutted
No,
me.
I missed it.
Oh my god, I can't.
Yes, yes, I remember that.
Yeah. What's up? Glad to see
I remember
David
this
Brady in
shit.
the chat. Yeah. Well, you know what's funny
What's
is
up,
that
David?
David Brady. I'm glad that he's here, but he sent me over the video. I had no idea like this was that much of a thing. He's like, yeah, people will post this video of Nutter Butter saying N is for the way that you nut at me, and then I'm on the very end. I say R is for real ones, like all you guys are, and like he's like, oh yeah, like 500,000 people like it. I'm like, oh my god, I had no idea. Like this little Twitter thread that was all natural. Like Pete just replied to Nutter Butter. I'm like, oh look, that's cool. So I'll put, they had the N, the I, the G, and then the E, and then I'm like, okay, I'll put the R at the end, and well, it'll probably just be like a couple people will like it. Next thing I know, like still to this day, just randomly, I'll get somebody that likes it. The tower goes viral on Instagram
Yeah.
for a few weeks. I know it
Oh yeah,
kills me. I can't believe it.
that was such a good organic thing. Like we didn't even like nobody in like any tower group chats that have been made before. Nobody said anything until like after the fact because it was such a like a short one. But it was so funny just seeing that shit on there because I think I saw I don't know if you replied to Pete, but I saw like the beginnings of it and I was like, oh, here we go. Like that's cool. I didn't think it would take off like that. So it was really cool seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the Megan McCain stuff where, like, I remember Tim Pool tweeted out something and said, Matt Walsh taught me to be meaner or like taught me to be mean to bad people. And I think I literally just tweeted pussy with a screenshot of him saying, God damn, this is fucking awful from the LPNH tweet. And that one blew right the fuck up. I think I got like over 1,000 likes on it or something like that. Oh god, it was so fucking funny. Like I just figured out, that's like a throwaway tweet. And next thing I know, everybody's like, "Oh my god, you fucking owned him!" And somebody was like, "Oh, Killer Kyle." Like, I'm like a nice guy in person, but like I
Yeah.
can't. Help it.
Oh. Tim Pool is like, oh, I learned how to be mean. I'm like, bro, you ain't seen shit yet, dude. Look at my McCain tweet. Like that was the fun thing about that is I was going after pretty much everybody that like. I mean, I liked not half the people in there, but I liked some of the people that were in that at first, and then I was just like, you know what, fuck them. I don't care. Like you're gonna be awful on this little thing right here. I'm gonna expose it, and that's kind of what was the best thing about it because I had so many just rapid screenshots of stuff. And then I see the worst takes on it were from libertarians with like Ukraine profiles too. So I'm like, yeah, you got to be in there too, loser.
Yeah, I mean, well, those people absolutely deserve to have their feelings hurt. If you got the Ukraine flag in your bio, I still can't believe Dickie's someone's dad. Yeah, I mean, you know what? There's tons of people
I can't
pumping out
either.
fuck trophies. Yeah, I mean, eventually I'll be one, but unfortunately, I'm sorry, that day is not today, but eventually.
He got to see his first snow the other day. It was pretty cute.
In Miami.
No, he was no, he's in New York right now. With my wife's family. So they're chilling up there near Buffalo. So it's snowing. So he got to see snow for the first time, which he'll probably never see again unless we travel because we don't get that here. But yeah, I miss the little guy.
I mean, it's got to be like peaceful and quiet in the house at least. But I mean, I'm sure that gets lonely after a while. Like, I kind of like spending the days, like the Sundays that I have alone with my dogs, because I'll just like sit here, do a podcast, drink some coffee, go work out in the morning, walk the dogs. The dogs will sleep downstairs. But like, I am kind of ready to do something else. Just DM'd you the tower video. Oh, you know what? Perfect. We will do that. Yeah, I definitely enjoy spending time with my wife, and then obviously my wife and our dogs as well. And then I'm sure once we have kids, it's going to be the same deal where I'm probably going to stay pretty busy. And the podcasting may have to take a little bit of a backseat, but I think that's all right. Oh, here we go. Okay, let me pull this.
It's kind of funny. Like once you hit that stage, you're just like you want your space, obviously, because you're so busy with work and being a husband and father. And you're trying to do your best to be involved in stuff, which is, it's fun. And then obviously you want your space when you can get it. But then like all week, I'm like, okay, well, I have all this time to go to the gym or clean the house and do whatever. And then I'm like, I got all this other time. And I'm like, no, well, now what? And I'm like, okay, do what you used to do back in the day. Just go and sit in the bar for hours. And I'm like, okay, so I went and did that. And I'm just like, where's my friends at? You're just like, fuck. You like graduate to a level of like old that nobody wants to hang out with you. Even though my drinking buddies are older than me, it's like they don't have kids. So you're like in the next
Yeah.
category. So you're just kind of just chilling by yourself, and it sucks.
Mhm. All right, here we go. This is the classic.
Oh yeah, let's go.
I don't think I've. I fucked it up. My bad. I don't think I ever showed this on the show, and like I don't. I showed some of my coworkers this, but it cracks me up. So Nutter Butter, N is for the way you nut at me. And that was Pete Quinones, and I is for the insights you gave me. The music kills me. G is for the good times we've shared.
I can't hear the music. Is it playing over like call audio?
No, it shouldn't be. I'm surprised you can't hear that. Let me see.
I ruined it.
I hit. Oh, no. I'm glad you said that. I might have it turned down too low.
Because I couldn't hear my video earlier, and I was like, all right.
Oh my god, music is good for us. Okay, so it might be just you, Dickie. I'm sorry. Oh my god.
It's just me.
How
Oh shit.
terrible.
It's my little demons in the house fucking with me again.
G is for the goals we set. E is for the excellent memes. And then I'm right at the end. R is for the real ones, like all you guys are.
Yes,
Yeah,
I've seen that
well,
on Instagram a few times.
yeah. Well, and then like they hid every single one, and then like now if you go back and look at it, it said like this from a suspended account, this from a suspended account.
Yeah.
And then of course they have the meme right at the end with the dude standing in front of the beach. Oh my god, dude. You know what? And I was off Twitter for a very, very long time. So I made a I think I made a Twitter back in actually it just said I celebrated my 14-year anniversary of having a Twitter. So I made it back in 2009. I want to say I was in
Dude, you're an OG.
yeah, so I would have been 13 years old if I got that right. 2009. No, I'm sorry. I would have been 15 years old when I made Twitter. So I remember making it because there were a bunch of musicians on there, and I'm like, oh, cool, I get to follow them. And I did it for like a little bit, and then I stopped. And then I got back on in college, and then I got off from about 2017 until when I started my podcast, which was October of 2021 is when I started.
That would have been, I would have been 11 years old when you got on Twitter. Holy shit. I think I got on in 2016, maybe 2015 or 16, one of the two. And I would just be on for like sports news for the most part. So similar to you with music.
Mhm.
I didn't really
Ye-
use it until Cole from Tower Gang, because we're buddies, and he I think just threw me in a group chat, like this huge Tower Gang group chat, and there's like
Yeah.
a gazillion people in it. And so that's how I got into the libertarian Twitter sphere, pretty much.
Oh my god. Oh, look who dropped
Oh,
by.
thanks, Josh.
Best guest ever. Yeah, I
Ah,
agree.
Josh is the best. Congratulations,
I love
Josh, on your kid
Mhm. Yeah, Jesus
and
Christ.
your
You want to talk about like
25th. Uh,
you want to talk about a fucking fuck trophy factory. Jesus Christ, that house is always fucking popping. So yeah, you stood up right before the show and you had your Black Sabbath shirt on. And one thing I wanted to talk to you about is Sabbath. You know, I entitled the stream "On Their Knees, the War Pigs Crawling" because all I can think about is the the Meghan McCain tweets and Sabbath. So I'm guessing Sabbath is probably your number
January
one
6th, yeah.
band. Yeah.
Yeah, Sabbath for a band, yeah. I mean, Ozzy Osbourne, if you call it a band, I mean that's right under. So, but same thing. I mean, he was Sabbath for years, but love Sabbath. I just got my Spotify Wrapped, and it was like you're in the 0.0005% of listeners, and I'm just like, well, shit, nothing's changed.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
mean, I'm
yeah,
sure like if you went through my YouTube music, I'm kind of eclectic. Like Pantera will always be my favorite band, but I don't listen to them an insane amount. But like every time I do, it always just brings me right back to remembering why I love them so much. Just like the raw fucking throat punching power. But I mean, I'm sure for like Sabbath for you, it's like Tony Iommi's larger than life riffs, Ozzy's very distinct voice, Geezer Butler, just the whole fucking deal. So like my favorite Sabbath album is probably Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, and I know people might give me some shit for that, but like all those songs on it, that was like the original Van
Interesting.
Halen
Okay.
album, where it was like a greatest hits album, but all those songs were just fucking hits front to back.
Lots of underrated songs on there. Like Sabracadabra is a fucking banger. Like it goes so hard. Obviously, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath is really heavy. It's a classic
Yeah.
Sabbath heavy sound. I don't know if you know the story behind how they made the album, but it's pretty cool. Um, they were kind of in a slump producing wise, and
Mhm.
so they went back because they were in America for a bit producing like Volume 4. Then they did
Mhm.
5. I can't remember if that was in America or England. I think they might have done some in both. But then they were like, well, we can't. Tony couldn't figure out a riff to save his life, and he's like, well, let's go back to England. And they rented this old, like, straight up haunted castle. Like they would see ghosts and shit walk through walls, and so that's where they decided to produce Bloody Sabbath. And he said as soon as they got in there, like in the first week, I mean, riff after riff just came to him, and he started writing stuff down. And I mean, they made an awesome album, very underrated album too.
Mhm. Wow, that's super interesting. And like I've always found band history like that to be so fascinating. And it's probably why a band like Pantera for me was so huge, is because like you could watch their home videos and like watching I think it was called the Vulgar
Yes,
videos or
I
something like
love
that.
those.
Oh yeah, where they
Yes,
have like these giant paper
the
mache
best.
pot leaves. Yeah.
Yes, they're shooting fireworks off and shit. You get Dimebag's burping every like 2 seconds. You're just like, hell yeah! I love that shit. All over YouTube, dude.
Mhm.
Free.
Oh
It's the
yeah, dude.
best free entertainment there is.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I remember being a kid and watching those and thinking, like, man, you know what we got to do? We got to light off Roman candles in our house, dude. That seems like a great idea.
It's so weird. Like I posted that picture the other day. It was about like the hair metal Pantera, like before and
Oh yeah,
after. It was like,
Glamterra.
holy
Yeah.
shit. I'm super glad they I'm super glad they switched because like what they did for those years was pretty fucking awesome. I mean, I wish
Mhm.
everything would have worked out. They'd have stuck together and stuff. Because who knows what would be like today. I mean, everybody could have still been alive or what. But I mean, I love listening to Pantera as well. They're not my absolute favorite band, but they're way up there for sure. I wish I could see them this year.
Yeah, it was surreal for me to see Pantera, and I know like some people poo-pooed it, but like the fact that you had like the guy to play for Zach Wild, or I'm sorry, for Dimebag, Zach Wild, and then like the drummer was always kind of up in the air. So like if you
Yeah,
know your Pantera
perfect.
history, um Vinnie Paul was a little bit more like he wasn't as social as Dime was. So like there really weren't any close friends. But when they said it was Charlie Benanti doing it, I thought about it and I'm like, okay, well they always said, like the guys in Anthrax had always said that Dimebag would have been the sixth member of Anthrax because he guested on some tracks, he helped write some songs and stuff like that. So they were like, all right, well then that would make sense that you'd had Charlie Benanti in his place. And like I remember watching videos and I was thinking like, you know what? He does pretty fucking good. And then I saw him live twice. I'm like, it was just I can't describe it because like for me, Pantera was my entire world when I was a kid. Like I wanted to be a Dimebag Darrell when I grew up. So like being able to just kind of like come full circle with it is really cool. And I think that's like the experience that a lot of people felt is like I never got to see Pantera when I was a kid. So like seeing this is really, really cool. And I guess this kind of goes to over like another point. Zach Wild from Ozzy Osbourne, Black Label Society. He's doing that black or the Zach Sabbath cover band. I'm gonna go see it in February.
Mhm.
Have you got a chance to catch it, or do you even know about it?
Are you gonna see Zach Sabbath in February? Is that what you're gonna see?
Yeah, yeah. No, no. I was asking if you know anything about Zach Sabbath, like if you've seen them.
Yeah, yeah. I love seeing like I'll see videos and stuff of them. Where are they playing at? Because I was trying to find some venues somewhere near me. A lot of them were like in California and stuff though, or just far
Uh,
away. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, they're coming to the Roxanne, I think around here, which is probably like 45 minutes away from me. So I haven't got to see
Oh
them yet, but
shit.
I would love to go see it. What did JC say? Have you guys seen that Phil and Selma video where he's giving an anti-drug lecture to some college kids? No, I actually
Probably.
haven't seen that.
Was he saying the
Um,
N-word?
White power. Yeah. I mean, he's always been on some crazy shit. That was the whole white power thing was where Rob Flynn kind of outed himself as a fucking pussy. Like, dude, get the fuck over it.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Um, but I don't know if we talked about it. I was gonna try to see Pantera in February because I'm going to Daytona for the race, and then if it was gonna fall through, my backup was Pantera in Nashville, and I was actually close to doing that. So I was like, oh, fuck, I wish I could do both. Like,
Yeah.
because I don't know when I'm gonna see them again because they're gonna be touring super far away for the rest of the year. I think they're only the closest show to me was Nashville, and they're doing two in Florida, but I'm in Pensacola, and they're like Tampa and somewhere else. And like, if you know anything about Florida, like if you're up in the Panhandle, you're far from everything else. Everybody asks me like, "Oh, do you go to Disney?" I'm like, "No, it's like 8 hours away, bro. Like I can get to Atlanta, I can get to Nashville, I can get to New Orleans much quicker than that." So, um, yeah, all the shows I want to see are super far away. I think the next one that I want to see that's close is Judas Priest and Sabaton in
Ooh.
Mobile. I think that's on Mother's Day, which my wife said I
Ah.
can go to as long as we celebrate Mother's Day beforehand. So I
Yeah, there we
love
go.
her.
Just tell her, yeah, hey, you got the kid this day. I'm gonna go see Rob Halford ride his fucking Harley and fucking Glenn Tipton rip some shit, dude. That's what I'm all about.
Dude, I'm more excited for Sabaton. I love Sabaton. I mean, I like Judas Priest as well, but like, oh my dude, Sabaton just cranks out bangers. I love their. We were talking about Christmas music earlier. I love their song "Christmas Truce." I mean, that's so awesome.
Okay, so you know what? I've seen Sabaton, and I got to be honest, I don't think I've ever really listened to them. Like I like seeing them live, and all I ever hear about is how great they are, and I'm sure they are. I just like never sat down to listen to them, and you know, I've they seem to be like so well revered that I almost feel like embarrassed to say that I haven't.
Well, they're different. Like I don't know if you would call it symphonic metal. I don't know if that's the word for it, but they're like everybody just calls it Sabaton. Like their style is like the closest thing to them that I know of would be like Power Wolf or something like that.
Gotcha.
Some like opera singing and metal like shit like that. I don't know like tons about musical genres, but that's the closest I can compare it to.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I remember seeing them. I'm trying to remember the exact tour that they were on, but I saw them at Stage AE, which is kind of like the third biggest venue here. So like there's Stage AE, and then bigger than that is Burgettstown, which is where I saw Pantera and Lamb of God. And then the biggest one would be like PPG Paints Arena, which is where I saw Metallica. And then I guess probably like your gay pop acts would maybe play at Heinz Field, but like Metallica and all them aren't going to play there. Like most of the bands are going to play PPG Paints Arena. And then obviously we have like the smaller bars. So like my band opened up for Lita Ford at Jurgles and at a field out in Butler, and then we opened for
That's
Steel
still
Panther.
cool to me. Like you guys opening for Lita, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, two times, two times. We didn't get to meet her, but we did open her for two times. She waved to
Oh,
us in her van when she was driving up
oh,
to our
okay.
stage. Yeah, yeah. So like, it sounds really
So
cool,
you
but then
opened,
you're
you
like,
didn't get to meet her. What the fuck?
yeah. Well, you know what? She still looks and
Like
sounds
what
pretty
is
damn
that?
good for being old as shit. Yeah, yeah. Well, we got to meet some of
Yeah,
the other
I've
bands.
I've seen I've seen some of the videos.
So like we met Steel Panther back in 2020, which that was probably the coolest show I ever played. Is opening for Steel Panther and feeling like the guitar rumbling your chest and the drums on stage. I mean that shit's fucking crazy. I'm hoping we get to do shit like that again. But so what would be your favorite Sabbath album? I think I heard you lay this out before, but if I didn't, then what is your favorite Sabbath album?
Hey, my neighbor just got home, so my dog's
Oh, that's all right. Um, yeah, like we were saying earlier, it's Sabbath Bloody Sabbath is mine, and I'm curious what Dickie's is. He's yelling at his neighbor. Good. Sorry.
So my favorite. I'm sorry if those dogs are still. I don't
No,
know
I
how
don't hear
loud
him.
it is, but stop. My
Oh,
favorite is
yeah,
probably
you're good.
Paranoid. But like,
Gotcha.
okay, right under Paranoid is Master of Reality. Like that's like 1A and 1B for me. I don't like I'll choose Paranoid over that just because it's got the iconic songs. You know, you got War Pigs, you got Paranoid, you got Iron Man, Fairies Wear Boots, you know.
Yes.
Um, but like damn, like Master's heavy. And that's what makes it like right up underneath because like Into the Void. I mean, that's if Paranoid is my favorite album, the Paranoid song is my favorite song. Into the Void is right under the song Paranoid for me. Like that's the heaviest, one of the heaviest riffs you'll ever hear. Like and recent videos even like old ass Tony Iommi's on stage and he's like slow walking like the fucking Terminator, playing that opening riff to it. Like da 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 da. It's like fuck, dude, that's so heavy. Um, and that's why for me I like both of those two. Um, Black Sabbath is the first one, and then Paranoid was kind of a continuation of that album. Um, and then Into the Void was similar, but they just decided we're gonna make like a part three to this, but just even heavier somehow. And like every song, like you go from Sweet Leaf, which is like driving heavy, nice and a fuzzy fat sound, and then like an acoustic slow song to make you kind of chill out, and then boom, Lord of this World, a
Mhm.
song like Orchid, and then you'll get like Into the Void. Like it goes from like heavy to soft, heavy, soft. I mean, that's what I love about that album as well. So I think Paranoid would be one just for obvious reasons. I mean, it's got the best songs for me, but Master is a very, very close second.
Sorry. So what would be your opinion on Ronnie James Dio in Sabbath? I'm very, very curious about this.
I love him. I love Dio on
Okay.
Sabbath. Like I love Dio in general.
Cool.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I love Dio. He's a better singer than Ozzy. Let's be honest. Like he's one of the
Yeah.
best singers in metal. Like probably for me the best voice in metal. My favorite, anyways. I mean, there's other great ones, but um,
Mhm.
like when you're 5'1" and you can like belt it out that loud and that well.
Yeah.
Yeah. JC, sorry to interrupt, but it's all right and
That's
Changes are
okay.
very good songs. I love Changes. It's such a pretty song on
Oh yeah.
Volume 4. About Bill Ward, the drummer. He was having a separation with his wife, and so he just wrote the song and played piano on it. So very good song.
Mm.
But yeah, Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules are
Yes.
two albums with Dio on it. So good. Like I
Well,
remember the
yeah.
first time when I was younger, like hearing Heaven and Hell, and I'm like, who is this? Like who the fuck? And then I learned who Dio was, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, so I remember I actually kind of discovered like I wasn't familiar with Dio and Sabbath. Like I knew he was in there and I heard Rob Flynn I, I want to say it was Ronnie James Dio when he died. Rob Flynn released an acoustic cover of Die Young and it was just absolutely fucking amazing. And then I listened to the real song and I'm like, holy fuck, this is so fucking good. Like, wow. And like that whole
Yeah,
album fucking
he
rips.
Yeah, the way he was able to, because Ozzy would sing with the riff. He would punch the notes when he would sing because he wasn't a professional singer. He had
Right.
range and he could go high to low, and especially in his Sabbath days, he had a good voice.
Mhm.
But Ronnie could sing over the riff just effortlessly, and he could sing very quietly, like in Die Young, where he's got like the little interlude or whatever, and then
Mhm.
boom, back to a heavy riff with Tony, and Ronnie can just sing over that loud ass riff with no problem whatsoever. Um,
Yeah.
if I mean, if Sabbath wasn't known for having Ozzy for their first several albums, and they just started with Dio and just took a different trajectory, they'd still be one of the best bands ever, for
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
it's really interesting to think because, like, even Tony Iommi's songwriting was completely different for those albums. Like, it wasn't nearly as doomy, and it was a lot more melodic. And it was just so interesting because, like, they were two completely separate bands. Like, just listening to them, but I mean, it was still Black Sabbath. But like, Ronnie James Dio is such like a melodic singer that he really like presents himself as like the lead, like the front man. He's excellent at that. And like you think about all those songs on the album, and specifically like when I think about Die Young, he just fucking sings so powerfully. Heaven and Hell, same deal. Just like this all-encompassing fucking voice over these, steady beats. It's just super interesting. Whereas like with Ozzy, it was a little bit more like grim and doomy and heavy, where Ozzy didn't necessarily take the lead as a frontman as much as like Ronnie did, but it was still like a whole, like the band was still really good all together.
Neon Nights was, I believe, Mob Rule's album with Sabbath, JC,
Yeah.
to answer your question. But what you said, Kyle, about the transition, honestly, that was all Dio himself because he was a musical talent, so he could play bass, he could play other instruments, and he could write songs. And so for the Ozzy years, Geezer's always been the main songwriter for Sabbath, and obviously Tony would write all the riffs and stuff, and Ozzy would just sing. But when Dio came along, he had a whole lot of input with the songwriting. He always wanted to, like, his thing was he wanted to sing about rainbows because that was his thing. Like, he came from the band Rainbow, and like, Rainbow in the Dark was a Dio song. Um, and he would he'd sing some of those lyrics in Sabbath music until Tony would tell him, like, look, man, I love you, this is Black Sabbath, we can't sing about rainbows, this is like doom metal. But even so, he would write a lot of the songs when he was there because he was more assertive than all of them were. So he would say, hey, we're going to do it this way and do it this way. And that's why it took such a different path, and it sounded amazing. um, that's actually why he left the band, which kind of sucks because they were gonna support an Oz, not an Ozfest, but they were gonna do a festival with Ozzy when he was starting his solo career. And Dio didn't want to do it because him and Ozzy hated each other because Ozzy was kind of jealous of him replacing him. And Sharon, she's a cunt, so she was obviously behind that too. So that's why he left, and that's why he left a second time in the '90s when he rejoined them for an album because they were trying to do a I think they were opening for Ozzy's either his No More Tears album or something else, his tour, I mean. And Dio refused to do it, so he's like, "I'm leaving. Fuck you." Um, but like he was the one person in the band that would do things his way, which was good because it made a lot of amazing music, and that also led to the downfall because the other band members didn't know how to handle that.
Yeah, it's interesting to see situations like that. So, like, you think about a band like Mastodon or even Pantera that kind of like continuously had the same members, or even like Disturbed as well. They've had the same members for pretty much their entire discography. And there's some bands where like they change singers and maybe like one key member, and things are kind of like good, they smooth over. And there's some bands that just like they can't deal with the turnover. So, like, it's always been interesting to me to see the chemistry in bands like that. And like Mastodon's probably one of the ones that comes to mind because like they've been the same band from beginning till now, and they've had like many different sounds, but they're kind of like returning to their roots now. I don't know how much of a Mastodon fan you are, but I love Mastodon.
They're cool. I don't listen to them enough. I need to get into them, so I'll remember that. I don't listen to them. There's a lot of music that I'll hear and I'm like, oh, that's fucking cool, and I'm like, I got to get into that. I'm that way with certain things. Like I obviously have my pick of things I listen to. Like I'll listen to BLS, Ozzy, Sabbath, Pantera, Motorhead. But I dip my toes into other things as well. I just don't consistently go through them as much as
Yeah.
I probably should. So
So
I'll check that out.
have you listened to well, obviously you listened to a lot of Motorhead. Have you listened to Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons?
Yeah, I have. I can't pick them out very quick, but I know what you're talking about. I've listened to some of it.
Okay, so that's kind of like, I don't say my transition into Motorhead. My brother and I, when we were going to the anti-war rally, like obviously I knew who Motorhead was. I've seen Motorhead, and always loved Motorhead, but like I didn't really like get into them until like my brother and I were going down to the anti-war rally last year, and they had I think it was Razorfist put out like a video on the history of Motorhead, and I'm like, oh, these guys are really good. But I was just like Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons before that, and I didn't realize that Phil had played for Motorhead, and like I loved all the stuff that Phil Campbell put out in that band specifically. Like they just put out an album, I want to say like a month ago, and it is so fucking good. So like, okay, well now I have to know everything that he's done with Motorhead because like, Motorhead is Motorhead. Like there's not a lot of variety with Motorhead. Like you're gonna get like some bluesy and some thrashy and just some loud rock and roll, but it's Motorhead.
Yeah, that's what honestly, that's what I love about him. Like I will literally hit on Spotify, I'll hit on Ace of Spades and let it play through every fucking song they have. Like
Yeah.
some days, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do. And they're all the same. They're all rock and roll. That's what Lemmy would say to it. He's playing the old school, like Chuck Berry with a fucking bass playing lead guitar is basically what he's doing, or playing like rhythm guitar. Is what Lemmy would do. I mean, it was so damn loud. I would love to have like grown up in a time where I could see that live. Like, I mean, you're never gonna hear again. That's how insane that was.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think about that to bring it back to Pantera, seeing them back in like the 90s. Like the video that everybody goes back to is like them
Yeah,
playing in Moscow in 1991, I think it was. And it's like, dude, there's millions of people there. What the hell was it? The wall fell or whatever the fuck it was. Not the wall of Berlin. I don't know why I'm blanking on it, but what the fuck happened over there? And then Pantera's playing, and there's just millions of people. They're fucking crushing it.
is that the
And
one where they did the big domination breakdown and like the whole crowd is just
yes.
is that the one?
But I mean, like,
It's such
yes,
a
yeah,
huge
yeah. So
concert.
like, yeah, but I mean, like, you see videos of them even like before they called it quits back in 2002, I want to say. There's like this 7 minute long video before they play Becoming, and like Phil's just talking, and all these people just start slamming shit. It sounds like the whole fucking venue's gonna collapse. I'm like, I couldn't imagine just being in the room feeling that. Like, there's a specific feeling when you go see a band like that, and like I could like terror, fascination, and love all in one moment.
I love to party and get violent. I don't know if I mean, I guess I would do it, but being in like Moscow for a Pantera concert like that, yeah, okay. I better be fucking hammered before that happens because I'm gonna get smacked in the face and it's gonna hurt.
Yeah. So my first. Okay. So well, you know what? I'll tell you
But
my first
like,
concert. Good.
oh, I'm still on that. Like, I'm like a couple of seconds before you, so I keep interrupting because of that. But like, how you were saying earlier, I'll be quick with this. How like a lot of people shit on the new Pantera lineup. How it's not Pantera, it's a tribute band. Besides, like Phil was the one that had like falling outs and shit, and nobody cares about Rex, blah blah blah. It's like, well, look, for us, like, what are we gonna fucking do? Go in a time machine and go see the OGs? Like, we can't do that shit. Like, besides, I love Zach anyway, so I'm gonna go see that. And like from the videos I've seen, Phil has done pretty good with his vocals and stuff. Obviously, drumming is great. So like, why wouldn't I go see that?
Yeah, dude. Like, there's no reason to fucking poo-poo it. Like, catch up with the comments. The only pit I had to leave was Slayer and Pantera. I got fucking slammed. Okay, yeah, I definitely believe it. I've seen people at Slayer shows that it could be pretty brutal. Adam Nutter, thank you so much for dropping by, brother. Look at these handsome baby boys. Yes, I appreciate it. I don't know how baby I am, but that's all right. Um, he will be in Florida on the 19th. I'm jealous. I wish I was. My wife and I might be going down to Florida though in April. We'll see what happens. I'm strongly thinking it's going to happen,
Ooh,
but we'll see. So my first
you like to
concert
come to
was.
Florida a lot, don't you?
Oh, I love it. If I could move there, I would. If I never had to pick up a snow shovel again a day in my life, I'd be the happiest dude in the world. But okay, my first concert was Job for a Cowboy, Guar, and Lamb of God, and I will never forget. It was an outdoor venue, and I remember just hearing the noise and just being like, "Whoa!" I was 15 years old, right? So I was in middle school at the time because I failed a year. So eighth grade, I remember walking around the fence and just seeing Job for a Cowboy playing it. And like, I didn't like them back then. I'd probably like them now. I should go back and listen to them. But like, I remember just seeing them, and then Guar went on stage, and everybody got shoved forward. They're spraying blood everywhere. And then Lamb of God went up, and I'm like, whoa. Like, every time, there's still videos of it on YouTube. If you look up, like, Lamb of God, Pittsburgh 2009, I just blew my fucking mind. So I want to throw it over to you. What was your first concert? And do you remember that feeling of just feeling the music in your chest?
Oh yeah. Honestly, I grew up with like strict, like fundamental Christian parents who like hated the devil's music and stuff, right? So I was actually going to tell you about this. This is actually pretty
Oh,
funny.
good, good, yeah.
So my first concert, I cannot remember who it was. It was somebody in Pensacola. They were supposedly famous. It was like at a music hall or whatever. That's not really a concert, right? My first like actual big, because I didn't like, I don't spend my money on concerts. I would go to like sporting events and shit. Like once I was out on my own doing my thing. So I think my first one was Ed Sheeran, right after my wife had our baby, and so she loves Sheeran, and he's good. Like I don't listen to him, but he's obviously very good. So we went to Tampa. Yeah, exactly, Shannon. So
Yeah.
which is funny because like growing up with like those Baptist people like and stuff, they would have like preaching conferences for like teenagers and stuff, and they would every once in a while you'd have the one youth pastor that would talk about music, how like the devil's music is like gonna take you to hell and whatnot. And this one guy, like I don't know what he was thinking. He decided he was gonna play like videos of like concerts on the screens and show us how bad it was. And so like I'm like 10 years old, right? And like I knew who Ozzy was, and I knew who all these other guys was. I didn't listen to them a lot, but I heard their songs. I thought it was cool. And he's playing like this video of Ozzy from like the '90s when he had Zach, right? And he's singing like Mr. Crowley, and like I'm like, holy shit, this is so cool. Like Zach is playing guitar behind his head. I'm like, the fuck, you can do that shit. So then I go like straight to YouTube, and and that's how I got into a lot of this stuff. And so I'm like, bro, this is the coolest thing ever. Why would you do that to us kids? Like, you're just going to make us want it more. I remember he would show us, like, Marilyn Manson stuff. And so I'm like, okay, that's a little scary. He's ripping up the Bible on stage. I'm like, I'm not down with that. But then he's like, oh, and guess who else is satanic? Jimi Hendrix. And then I'm like, holy shit, this guy's amazing. So I got into Hendrix and all this other shit just because some guy claimed they were all satanic. And so that was basically my end to like metal and rock. And then when I would work in high school, like if it was construction or landscaping or whatever, everybody there was old. So they all listen to old country and old rock. So that like all my music is from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s and shit. So that's how I do it. But I didn't get to go to a lot of concerts, sadly. That's what I'm trying to get to everybody right now.
Mm. Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, it's an experience like no other, and I'm a very, very gregarious person. I love being around people, and I love, the thrill of just being around live music. And I mean, partially that's the reason why I play it and love doing that. But
Mhm.
yeah, I ever since I was 15 years old, I like could not get enough. So I want to say, throughout high school, it was just like every chance I could get, I'd be going to a concert. And now I look back over like the last, I want to say maybe like 10 years, I have not gone to nearly enough concerts. But like my late teens, you would never get me out of there. I'd be going to like two or three a week. And I really, really kind of miss doing that, man. It's just so much fun.
That's cool, man. That's one thing. That's a goal I have for my son is to like if he's into music, we're gonna go to concerts as much as we can over at the stadium nearby, over at Mobile or wherever we can go.
Mhm.
You know, because the kid, I can tell the kid loves music. Like I'll play my shit around him. Like I'll be sitting on the couch, after I come home from work. I'm just sitting on my lap, and I'll turn Spotify on the TV and just play my stuff. And he'll just stand up in my lap and start bouncing and like dancing around. I'm like, okay, there you go. My wife will come in and be like, you motherfucker, he's supposed to be liking my music. I'm like, well, you don't play any around him. Like, dad plays the headbang and stuff. That's what he likes. So, I'm hoping if he's into that, then that's something we can do together. Cause I didn't like, there's a lot of things I didn't have in common with my dad that I want to pass on to my son. Because one of them
Mhm.
that you love is like a whole different feeling. For me, like I lived in Durham, North Carolina growing up, so I would go to like Duke basketball games. And so being in a student section of a basketball game especially at that high level, was like being in a pit at a concert. I mean, you got students like right up in your face, and you're like 13 years old. You know, you got your shirt off and you're painted blue, and you're like, oh shit! Like that's the closest I got to that. So the more opportunities I can give to my son, the better.
Yeah, dude, I totally feel that because I definitely think I'm gonna try to play as much like good heavy metal. Whenever my wife and I have kids, I definitely think I'm gonna they're gonna get to listen to lots of Pantera. They're
Yeah,
gonna know Phil Anselmo from the time they're a kid to the time they're
dude.
adults, and hopefully they learn all the intricacies of Lamb of God and all the like the metalcore I used to listen to when I would flip through like the Music Choice channel on MTV or on fucking Dish Cable back in the day. That's how I discovered like a lot of like really good heavy bands. I want my kid to know all that stuff just because like the sense of community in the metal world is just like that of like no other. So like when I hear people saying, "Oh, metal's the devil's music" or this or that, it really frustrates me because like people don't understand the love and the unity in that community, and it's not like people give a shit either. I mean, it's like all about the music. I think Dickie had to jump back in. Uh-oh. Dickie's twin brother is now on the stream.
Was that me that time?
Yeah, I think it was. It's my connection has been it said it was solid, so but yeah,
Yeah.
no, dude, I just I love the feeling of being at a heavy metal concert or like um heavy metal in general, like the sense of unity. So like whenever I see like you telling the story of priests and pastors kind of talking down metal, um it's really upsetting because like I don't think people understand how like tight knit that community is. Like it's a very very loving experience to go to a concert. It sounds crazy from like somebody outside looking in, but you won't meet a more like nicer loving group of people than you will when you're all united under the banner of music. And like politics, whatever differences you have don't matter in that moment. It's all about what you guys want to share and enjoy together, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, I don't think anybody in their right mind would say that sports are an unhealthy avenue for young men, for
Right.
kids, especially young men, because that's a camaraderie and that's a brotherhood. And attending a sports event, especially if like how I was talking about earlier, in like a student section, you're jam packed somewhere, and everybody's looking out for each other, and we're all like cheering on something. That's no different than being at a concert, being in a pit, something like that, because you're witnessing your favorite entertainment, and you're getting that rush the whole time. And like um from their point of view, okay, sure, if an artist has like completely satanic lyrics or like something that's immoral against your faith, that's one thing. But if it's just a genre of music and there's nothing wrong with the song itself other than that, like it's fucking heavy and has like awesome guitar play in it and it makes you feel good, like what's wrong with that, um but anyway, that's just my opinion.
No, dude, I totally get it, and I agree. And like I think religion is generally good for people, but I think it's how people may express their beliefs in religion when it comes to like shaking your fist in people's face about heavy metal stuff. So like when I see this whole trad renaissance and this religious renaissance going on, I like it in the fact that it's going to give people something that they feel hopeful for, and it gives them something that they feel is like more purpose in their lives. But I don't like the idea of taking that same feeling away from other people where they find it in a different respect.
Yeah, for me, like when you see a lot of the Christian nationalism trending on Twitter, like I enjoy it because the main reason is that it completely mogs the degenerate, nasty gay shit that's all over the place that's trending now. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like all the lame, just ugly, like rejection of beauty, things that like we used to have that look nice, like, and now they're just trying to destroy everything and supplant and subvert everything. Like the complete reaction to that is like, well, one of them is like Christian nationalist Twitter, and there's others and shit like that, But it's like, okay, I can identify with that because, like, for me, with my religion, my faith, God believes in beauty and believes that we should try hard and emulate Him in His desire to make beautiful, creative things. And the fact that they're just making this ugly modern art, or they're like making like complete mockeries of people's bodies and shit like that. They're promoting people being fat It's like, no, dude, go to the fucking gym, be aesthetic and look beautiful and make something nice. Like, you know, that's kind of my view on it, because it completely rejects the modern, like, dog shit era that we live in. Did you freeze?
We're gonna figure this out one way or another, dude. What the fuck?
I'm sorry, dude. Like, I live right by the beach and stuff, so like the only internet
That
that
was
works
on.
is
No, that was
Cox.
on. Yeah, that was on me this time. My internet
That was you?
decided to up and shit the
Okay,
bed.
I don't
Yeah,
feel so bad.
Jesus Christ.
I was going on like a
Well,
nice little crusader rant there too. Like,
no, dude, I got it. I got it. No, I got most of it. I think maybe towards like the end there, it started to cut out. I can't believe this. My internet's gonna fucking kill me tonight. And then of course, we got a pretty cool show on my other show tonight. So yeah, Dickie, you know what?
I
I
was supposed to
really.
warm you up for Dave, not destroy your confidence.
Oh no. Regardless, you know, the show will go on with or without me. Dickie, I really enjoyed hanging out with you and talk to you, man. Hopefully, the next time my wife and I are in Florida or, you know, anywhere down there, if you're anywhere up here, we'll get to hang out and, you know, shoot some, do a few shots and listen to some Sabbath or go see Zach Sabbath or something like that. We'll figure something out. Go ahead, give your plugs and we'll, round this one off and do one again sometime in the future, man.
Yeah, all I have really is just my Twitter. You know, it's on the video, pine double underscore Barons. If you're one of the people tuning in, one of the three viewers to watch me, then you already follow me there, so it's all good. But every once in a while, I'll drop a fun video, or I'll just shit post and say something mean. Who knows? Maybe I'll make another McCain edit or something. But that's pretty much what I do. I love hanging with the homies and stuff. One day I'll get around to writing my book. So yeah, it was very nice being on with you, man. I appreciate it.
You know, of course, Dickie, like I said, we'll definitely do it again sometime. Um,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and let me know as soon as you start writing your book because I have plenty of sources for you for the 19th Amendment and its consequences. I think we have plenty of case studies and anecdotal stories about why that was bad for the human race.
I'm just gonna
So
start clipping Brandy on your show.
that would be a whole subsection chapter, maybe even like sequel in and of itself.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I
Forward
guess
by Brandy.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, so speaking of that, everybody make sure you go over to Cognitive Vigilance YouTube channel after this. We're gonna be going live with Dave Smith, Brandy, and Ryan at 8:30. It'll be a really, really cool show. As always, I appreciate everybody listening, checking everything out. And until next time, guys, rock and roll and take care.